Welcome back, everybody. Listen closely to this. Jim Young was completely healthy and starting a wonderful family when he was given the devastating diagnosis of ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. It wasn't until about 2 years later that he realized that was a misdiagnosis. What was really making him sick was actually chronic Lyme disease, which he is still battling today. Lyme disease is something a lot of people don't know much about, and it's the peak season for ticks. That's how you get it, from ticks. So here to tell us what you need to know to protect your family is Dr. Erica Kosal. She is Jim's wife, as a matter of fact, and the author of Miracles for Daddy and an associate professor of biology. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
My goodness, how's your husband?
He's hanging in there, but I'll have to tell you, he's really struggling. It's been a hard battle for us over the course of many years.
How bad is it for him right now?
Right now, he is unable to walk on his own. He's unable to breathe on his own. And most people just are flabbergasted when they realize this was all from a tick bite, or in his case, probably many tick bites.
And Lyme disease, named after Lyme, Connecticut, as I remember when we
That's
first
correct.
diagnosed this problem. You know, I think people say Lyme disease. Oh, you can get over that pretty easily. That is absolutely not right. What exactly is Lyme disease?
Right. So ticks will carry a bacteria, and the bacteria can be inserted into the body when the tick is feeding on the host. And that bacteria can be okay if you catch it early with 2 to 4 weeks of antibiotics, but if it goes undetected, that's when you have problems. So the bacteria, of course, can undergo binary fission, clone themselves, then they can hide in cysts, they can put biofilm over themselves so that it fools your immune system, so your immune system doesn't realize there's a problem.
You know, a lot of people get it when they go out camping. You know, a tick will fall out of the tree into their hair. Your husband got it, he loves to play golf, right?
That's right.
He got it on a golf course?
Many times comes back with tick bites from the golf course, even just in our backyard, and we live in just a suburb of Raleigh, North Carolina. And it's
not always just in your hair. You can get them anywhere in your body.
No, actually, my mother-in-law was walking our dog the other day, and she came back and had one behind her knee from just walking the dog.
Let's break down some of the myths. You know, we popped one on the screen there, and people say, you know, it's easy to diagnose. Well, look at this misdiagnosis here. That's a myth, isn't it?
Very much so. So part of the problem is that there are, in the United States, over 100 strains of the Lyme bacteria. Worldwide, there's 300 strains. And you have a serological test that most physicians rely on that isn't very sensitive, and it's based only on one of those strains. And there's different kinds of tests. The one that most physicians will give folks is called an ELISA test, and it's not very sensitive. And then there's other tests. The Western blot is better, but most people don't get that. And even that has problems.
Well, you say that Jim has chronic Lyme, but you know, I've heard people say there's no such thing as chronic Lyme.
That's right. I could not disagree more. If you go into the scientific literature, you find since the 1980s good documented research showing that there is such a thing as chronic Lyme. So, for example, with the dog and the mouse model, they have many studies showing that after 3 to 6 months of antibiotics, the Lyme is still present in those animals. In humans, they have shown there was a kind of a real well-known case in the scientific world from, I think it was 1994, maybe 1995, where there's about 165 Lyme patients who, after 6 months of oral antibiotics, still had Lyme conditions, and they relapsed into their problems.
Because it's named after Lyme, Connecticut, and I've always thought this too, that's why I'm so happy you're here. I always thought that these ticks that carry it are mostly in the northeastern part of the United States, but you tell me there are cases of Lyme disease in all 50 states?
All 50 states.
Alaska? Hawaii? What?
Well, the other thing that's amazing is that scientists are beginning to realize that the problem is so bad, 4 times as likely, or 4 times as prevalent, I should say, as HIV. And getting more and more difficult to diagnose, and with all of the sort of chunking of property and all these new little developments, it brings you closer with deer and mice. Mice do really great in fragmented environments, and that's the problem.
Here's another one, important. If you don't have a rash, well, I don't have a rash, I don't have Lyme disease. That is a myth too, so remember that. So what can you do? Give us a couple of tips to keep ourselves safe.
Well, the first thing that's really important is anytime you go outside, do a little tick check. And it's just, you know, rub your hands through your hair, rub your hands over your body. Just know your body well enough to realize, you know, that's not a freckle, because these ticks can be exceptionally small.
But you're right, you have to look, because you could have a tick in your hair eating away at your scalp and you can't even feel it.
That's right. And again, behind your knees, usually places where you'd sweat a lot. So where your socks meet your body, where your waistband meets your body, behind your ears, where
Kind
you
of like
sweat a lot.
mosquitoes.
Very much, yes. They tend to be attracted to folks who tend to be mosquito vectors or
Yeah.
magnets will also be probably more prone to tick.
I'm glad Jim is married to a doctor.
Oh, thank you.
Please give our
Thank
best
you.
to him, okay?
I really
The
appreciate
rest of your
that.
family. Thank you, doctor.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.